Talk to me about those episodes. I mean, to start a job and in 3 hours to have a panic attack, to have 5 hours and have a panic attack.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, let me know how old you were in both those jobs, but like, what was the cause of that? Where was that coming from?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I was 18, so I was living in North Carolina at the time. We had moved from Ohio to North Carolina for my dad's job when I was 16, so I was prepping to move to LA and obviously needed to have money to do so. So was trying to find a job. My anxiety at that point really stemmed from, oh my God, this is so not what I want to be doing, but it's the means to make it happen. So the anxiety came from, this is absolutely not where I want to be, but I know I have to be here because I need money. I have to make money. So the anxiety was like, don't have money, need it, have crippling anxiety and can't hold a job, but I need a job. So it was very, very isolating. And I've been fortunate enough. I have really terrible anxiety, but I don't suffer from too many panic attacks. But I obviously have had them. I know how they feel. It's the worst thing in the world. And having those in those environments was so awful. And I always immediately text my mom. I don't know how she does it. She has been very much the person that I turn to during these moments in my life of panic and anxiety. She's always at the other end of the phone or the other end of the Skype or the FaceTime or whatever I need her in. She's there. So I feel very lucky to have such a grounded, I'm like, if I'm having a panic attack, Amy is going to know about it.
I really appreciate you sharing this because I think so many people can relate to that anxiety. I remember when I came out of the monastery, left India, moved back to London, took me about 10 months to get my first job. Finally got a job. I was working at this, big consulting firm. I was back in the professional corporate world, which is what I would have done if I hadn't become a monk. And I was working at a client where I didn't really understand what we were doing. I'd been out of the working world for like 4 or 5 years at that point. So kind of lost a lot of my training in that world.
Right.
I struggled with small talk. I'd come back from this and I remember feeling so anxious that I would take the longest lunch breaks. Like I would disappear from work for like 2-3 hours because I just couldn't have those conversations. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't very good at my job. And I remember going up to our senior manager at the time and saying to him that I know there's a space for me in this company, but I don't think this is the right role or this is the right client because the work we're doing here, I feel really a deep lack of confidence. And I'm really just feeling anxious. And the way he responded increased my anxiety.
I was going to say, was he comforting?
No. And so I did this. You did 3 to 5 hours and you knew yourself. I lasted 2 weeks. And so this was after 2 weeks. He said, Jay, you realize people work really hard to get this job. And then they do as they're told. And they don't decide to shift after 2 weeks. And he said, if you shift after 2 weeks, you'll pretty much be ending your career with us. Like that's what it's going to be like. And I just still knew that this was just not where I needed to be. And so what ended up happening was they told the client that we were servicing. So my company gave services to a client. They told the client that I wasn't performing well. And so that they were going to let go of me. And they literally walked me out of the office as if I'd just been fired. And I wasn't fired. I was just let go of that client.
Right.
But they made me feel like I was fired. So I had to pack my box up.
Shame.
It was so painful. How did you communicate? You obviously texted your mom, but how did you communicate? How were you received by the people you worked with, the person who was the boss or the owner? Like how did they respond?
I mean, they didn't know me and I didn't know them. It wasn't even like a 2-week thing. It was genuinely nice to meet you. Here's this shift. Oh, now she's quitting. So I genuinely don't even know what their impression was. I remember the bakery I worked at, the boss was just very concerned with getting the apron back. It was like a very okay, well, make sure you return the apron. I was like, okay, I will make sure the apron gets back to you. So that was strange.
Did you give the apron back?
I actually don't know if I ever did. Sorry, but I think I felt more shameful about it towards like my parents and my sister, my older sister, because my little sister was young and didn't have a job. But I think I just felt like, oh, look how pathetic I am. I can't even, like, my anxiety is really that bad. I can't even hold down a job, when I know my sister at the time was like a hardworking waitress at a restaurant and had been for multiple years. So I just felt pretty pathetic at the time, which is obviously a very shameful feeling.